Hello, my name is John Eory. I'm a shareholder and member of the Family Law Department at Stark & Stark. This is part of a series of discussions with experts pertaining to matrimonial and divorce cases, and my guest today is Tom Hoberman. Tom is a CPA. He is the manager of the Litigation and Valuation Services Unit at the Princeton office of the accounting firm of WithumSmith Brown. Tom has provided forensic accounting and business valuation services to federal courts and New Jersey courts, attorneys, corporations, and individuals. These are pertain to business and contract litigation, economic loss, due diligence, acquisitions, and divorce litigation. Tom has extensive experience conducting financial investigations to uncover fraud, embezzlement schemes, damages, and assess internal control weaknesses. Tom was the plaintiff's expert in a very important case in New Jersey called Balsamides versus Protein Chemicals, where the New Jersey Supreme Court upheld Mr. Hoberman's position with regard to discount for lack of marketability. Mr. Hoberman is a graduate of the University of Maryland, where he earned his BS in accounting. He's a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, New Jersey Society of Certified Public Accountants, and the National Association of Certified Valuation Analysts. Tom also comes with a number of designations after his name, in addition to CPA, which I think we all know means Certified Public Accountant. But Tom is also an ABV. Now, Tom, what's an ABV?
That's a credential accredited in business valuations, okay, which is a designation that the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants offer.
Now, is that complementary to being a CPA?
No, the disciplines in business valuation are different than those for certified public accountants. So there's a separate credentialing board inside the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants who administer that credential.
So then if a person is a certified public accountant, a CPA, and undertakes a business evaluation, is he or she perhaps undertaking more than what they should be doing if they don't have the ABV credential?
The accredited in business valuation credential lets the public know that the professional who is going to undertake a business valuation engagement has demonstrated to the AICPA that they have been involved in significant levels of valuations through a application process, and has also passed a test regarding valuation theory. Certified public accountants may have substantial expertise in valuations, but only possibly in specific areas. So just holding a CPA does not necessarily mean that you have gone through the testing and application process to show that you have significant amount of valuation theory as part of your practice.
Well, I certainly know the importance of having a competent, qualified expert in a divorce case, not only from the planning stage and the strategy stage, but also to the point of testifying in court or depositions if necessary. Have you done those sorts of things?
Yes, I have testified in state court and also have been deposed numerous times, and have also testified in arbitration matters.
There are three areas that I'd like to talk about today, which to me encompass the divorce world of forensic accounting, so to speak. I think one of the most important is that of business valuation, and I find that there's as much misconception about business valuation among persons who sometimes are knowledgeable business persons themselves when it comes to valuing a business for purposes of divorce litigation. And you and I are familiar with a case where someone who is very well versed in and knowledgeable in his own industry still needed to have a reference point for what would be divorce litigation, and we called upon you, and I think your analysis of that was different from how this person, regardless of his lack of knowledge, approached this valuation. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. How did you come at the valuation of businesses, or how in this divorce world we're speaking of, do these businesses get valued?
If we could take a step back for a moment.
Sure.
In valuation, there are different standards of value, and the purpose of evaluation will drive which standard is appropriate for the engagement. A very common valuation standard that most people are familiar with is fair market value. And fair market value is defined in Revenue Ruling 5960 by the Internal Revenue Service. There's a specific definition to it, and there are specific purposes in which fair market value is appropriate. Fair value is another standard of value which does not have a clear and concise definition. It's in fact a legally created standard of value, and is used mostly in litigation circumstances. A third standard of value is investment value, and that's a value standard that's used primarily in mergers and acquisitions, and it's a valuation done specifically for an identified buyer, generally. About 5 or 6 years ago, the New Jersey courts, through some precedent cases, have adopted fair value as the standard of value, which can lead to valuations that are significantly different, valuation conclusions that are significantly different than fair market value.
How would that be the case? What is fair value compared to fair market value, for example?
In general terms, fair market value, as I said, has a clear definition that contemplates a hypothetical buyer and a hypothetical seller, and also contemplates a transaction, and that both the hypothetical buyer and seller are fully aware of the facts in the case and are able to enter into a transaction. These hypothetical buyers and sellers encompass all types of buyers and sellers. Fair value does not necessarily contemplate a transaction, does not contemplate hypothetical buyers and sellers, and does not contemplate even willing buyers and willing sellers. It's a standard that is created in order for an equitable valuation under the court's guidance of what is equitable in the specific case at hand.
So, for example, if somebody said, well, I only have a minority interest in a business, and I would anticipate that the value of my interest in that business should be discounted by the fact that I have a minority interest in that business, that may not necessarily be the case in a fair value situation. Is that correct?
That's correct. Generally, in fair value valuations, discounts are not considered where they are considered in fair market values, and that could be a substantial result in a substantial difference in valuation conclusions.